very important midah, midat haemet. And I mentioned how we cannot live our lives, we cannot succeed without emet, without truthfulness. Tonight we're going to be speaking about the opposite of emet, sheker. If emet, if truth is so important that we cannot do without, then you can imagine what sheker would lead to. Lies. A very destructive midah. Many people have a misunderstanding of sheker. Even though they know what the word sheker means, to lie, they actually think that sometimes in business and the like, it's okay. And they even say, if you don't lie, you can't make a living. In other words, they find many ways to justify this particular midah, this particular characteristic. Whereas in fact, they're not really trying to earn a living, they're just trying to excuse themselves of why they feel okay, comfortable with lying under certain situations. Towards the end, I will share with you a few examples of where it is correct and appropriate to say a lie. But for the most part, we need to know from the very start that sheker is abhorred. It is an ugly midah, and it is the only midah on which the Torah uses the word tirhak, stay away from. Midvar sheker tirhak, stay away. You don't find that word tirhak associated with other midot in the Torah. Just sheker. Anything that has to do with lies, stay away. Keep a distance, a safe distance. Another pasuk that tells us how serious it is and how Hashem is very unhappy with this kind of behavior. To'avat Hashem siftei sheker. The Kadosh Baruch Hu hates, abhors those who lie. Ve'oseh emunah retzono. Those who act faithfully is the one that he likes, that he wants to be with. This is not only a midah that Hashem does not like, this is actually a midah that people don't like to see in others as well. People will hate him, the liar. He will not be very well liked. Whereas with other midot, whether it's stubbornness or the pursuit of kavod and ta'ava and desires, laziness, right, and the like, and even a little bit of anger, some people can cope with, but a liar, especially if he continuously lies, at all times he's lying, it's someone that people do not want to befriend. They're actually afraid of somebody like that too. They can no longer trust him. Another pasuk that tells us what the fate of a liar is, Dover shekarim lo yikon leneged einai. Hashem says anybody who speaks lies will not be or not come before me. What that means is not only in this world is he not looked upon favorably, but even Ba'olam ha'emet, in the world of truth, after one leaves this world, he is of those groups that do not see the Shekhinah. Mihakat shelo ro'ah pnei Shekhinah. There are various groups, various individuals that because of their terrible behavior, they will not even enjoy being close to the Shekhinah, to the divine presence. And that is, of course, a very difficult, painful punishment. But that's how serious, that's how bad this midah is. Rabbis tell us in keeping our distance from sheker, it means complete distance. Even if it means the following. Let's say you want to teach somebody a lesson. He left his camera, he left his watch, expensive watch, in a public place. And you say to yourself, I'm going to take it. He's going to go looking for it. He's going to think, what? It's lost, it's stolen. And then I'm going to come to him and tell him, you see, I wanted to teach you a lesson that next time you don't leave expensive object in public. Is that okay? No. Because the stealing, the taking, the lesson that you want to impart in this individual through doing something like this, which will cause him some pain too, is asur. Even though all you want to do is, you want to teach him a lesson. But the way you're doing it is a form of lie. It's deceit. right? You're misleading him in a way to believe that who knows what happened to it. Well, you in fact have it. So don't teach these kind of lessons. They're not acceptable. If it's not truthful, if it's not right, then don't do it, no matter what your objective, your goal here is. That's how much the rabbis were careful. In Masechet Shavuot, the Gemara discusses a whole list of situations where rabbis and judges, leaders, have to be extremely careful not to mislead, not to lead on, not to give the wrong impression, anything that is closely related to sheker. Stay away from. As a judge, be very careful in what you say, how you act, and how you treat everybody fairly. Quite a few examples of where judges need to be very careful so that they don't commit an act that is against the Torah, showing favoritism of sorts. And here's an example that you will find in the halakha. Reuven is owed money by Shimon, but he has a problem, Reuven. He doesn't have witnesses, which is wrong. You don't give somebody money without either a shtar, a document that's signed with witnesses, or with people, live witnesses present at the time, especially if it's a large sum of money. Never take a chance. But Reuven, he trusted. So now he says, okay, I'm taking him to Bedin. So he's bringing Shimon to Bedin, and Reuven wants Shimon to be afraid. He wants Shimon to admit that yes, he lent me the money. How am I going to get him to admit? I'm going to make believe that I have witnesses. I'm going to ask Levi, do me a favor, come with me. So that he should see, he's bringing witnesses. Just come with me so that he should think that I have witnesses, so that I should get him to admit. Asur, it's wrong. Midvar sheket tirchak. On that and similar situations, that is exactly what the Torah meant, tirchak. Anything which is a lie. This is true? No, then what are you doing it for? Just to impress upon him, to make him afraid that here you have a witness? Midvar sheket tirchak. There are other ways, however, how you can extract the truth. But this way, giving the appearance, just the appearance, is sheker. It's a form of sheker, and the Rabbi tells me, Dvar sheker tirchak. It's not true, right? So why are you doing it? Another example of what is asur is gnevat dat. Gnevat dat, loosely translated, means to steal someone's mind, to let him on. You come into a store, imagine, and you see all sorts of gadgets and things that you may or may not have an interest in buying. And you begin to take the owner's time by asking him questions. How much is this? How much is that? How much is that? Oh yeah, how much is that? Is this on sale? The guy thinks you're going to buy something. If your intention is not to buy at all, then tell him up front, by the way, I'm just looking around. Don't lead him on. Don't let him think that you're going to buy something because he's hoping. He's looking forward to make a sale. That's gnevat dat. Imagine telling someone, we haven't seen you in ages. Why don't you come over for Shabbat? And you don't intend to invite him at all. The reason why you're saying it is just to impress upon him when you know he's not going to come anyway because he has another commitment that Shabbat. Then why are you telling it to him now? You know he's not coming, but you just want to impress upon him. You're always welcome. We haven't seen you in a while, and you're just saying it to put up a show, to lead him on it. This is gnevat dat. You're giving him the impression, he's such a great guy. Look at him. He's inviting me over. He doesn't mean to invite you at all. He knows you're not going to come anyway, right? And therefore he figures, okay, I have nothing to lose, only to gain. Nice guy, right? So that's gnevat dat. That's a lie. It's not true. Leading him on to believe something which is not true, not accurate. Let me give you an extreme example of what it means to be careful with lies, even though it's for good reason. And this we'll learn from the Gemara. Rav had a very difficult wife. It happens sometimes. Even good people have difficult women. And I have to be fair to the women. Some women have difficult men. Just that this story happened to be with a difficult wife, all right? That's the way the story goes. So Rav had a difficult wife. You know how difficult she was? If he asked for fasulia, anybody know what fasulia is now? If he asked for beans for dinner, she made him lentils or rice. Something different than what he asked. He says, honey, tonight I'd like to have fish. She made him lasagna. He asked lasagna, she made him fish. Whatever he asked, bedafka, not intentionally, she hears well. She heard it well, in spite. He asked for something the exact opposite of what he wanted. He took it, he accepted it, and he lived with it. His son grew up and he couldn't take it. Came up with an idea. One day his father asked for beans for dinner. He went and told Mom, Daddy asked for lentils. And guess what happened? She made him beans. Right? He basically tricked his mother to get her to do what the father really wanted. Imagine the father sitting down with what? What happened? She actually did what I asked for? Then he went over to the son and tell me what happened exactly? And the son tells him, this is what I did. No. Midvar sheker tirhak. You lied. I thank you and I appreciate how much you care for me. Just leave it alone. Don't lie. That's a lie. Tell her the truth. What can we do? Even something like that. He says, I'd rather not. You may argue, well, maybe here it was okay. No. Not so right. He taught him a very valuable lesson. Don't even make small exceptions. Little lies just like this, even though it had some benefit here. It's better not to. Midvar sheker tirhak. Stay away at all costs. Another area which is really, really sad, unfortunate, is something called in English hypocrisy. Now, what's hypocrisy? Hypocrisy is in Hebrew tzvi'ut, or in the language of Chazal, ehad balev v'ehad bapeh. He speaks one way and he acts in a different way. He says one thing and in his heart he means something else. That's called ehad balev, ehad bapeh. Tzvi'ut in modern Hebrew, hypocrisy in English. You know people like that? Unfortunately, there are too many of them. It exists. It's a symptom that always existed. It always will be around. And the rabbis tell us, be very careful with the tzvo'im. Be very careful with hypocrites. They're very dangerous. You may trust them, they may smile at you. And there are many, many stories of how people trusted these people and lost. And lost tremendous amounts of money because of that. Hypocrites. Is a hypocrite a liar? It's a different kind of a liar. Okay? When we talk soon about the symptom of lying, we will see there are various degrees and various types of symptoms that because of them people lie. A hypocrite is one of the worst kind of people around. What's so bad about him? This is not just a lie because one is afraid of the truth, one is embarrassed. This is not a lie where somebody has something to lose or something. This is an individual who's deceitful. He's out to get people. He's out to catch. He's a type of con artist. Does everybody know what a con artist is? A nochel, right? But the bad part about this is that it's very difficult to be careful with him because he may have a long beard. He may be religious. He may be doing certain things right. And that is where the big problem is. Because here, it is premeditated. You know how there's something called premeditated murder? Right? It's much more serious than just murder. Premeditated. He planned it out. He wanted it. That was his goal. To catch, to kill, to do whatever it is. So this is worse than a liar. This is a dangerous person, a danger to society. One of the most dangerous people of all, because he misleads in his behavior, giving an impression which is exact opposite to his true nature. But that is, of course, a form of lie, and it's something that the rabbis tell us to be extremely careful that in our behavior, not just our speech, in what we do, we, chas v'shalom, God forbid, should not in any way ever contradict ourselves. Or as they say in English, practice what you preach, right? Otherwise, what are you doing? You're contradicting yourself. That's a lie. So we have to, in our behavior, be careful that things that we do, not just say, do not in any way contradict our beliefs. Yes?
Does that include people that are hypocritical in like an obvious way, like the way they talk? Like if they're saying something that's obvious, like, oh yeah, I really want to buy that, when it's obvious that they know they're saying I don't want to buy it. Like they're just being hypocritical, like in a joking kind of
cynical.
Way. Cynical.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, obviously.
The same thing?
Yeah. Well, unless the individual understands that you don't really mean it seriously, you're joking.
Right.
That's different. But with hypocrisy, the individual does not know. That's why it's so bad. Anyway, so after hearing all of this, after knowing this, we look at our history and we find the opposite. We find throughout our Jewish history that the greatest of people, including judges and prophets and leaders of all kinds, were corrupt, were liars, deceitful. What's going on? Throughout our history, we see this as a problem. There are various pesukim in Yeshayahu and Yirmiyahu as an example that allude to this. Siftotehem dibru sheker. Their lips were all full of lies. Lemdu leshonam daber sheker. They got used to saying lies. The prophets many times said lies, false prophecy. So how could this be? The greatest of all, don't they know this? Don't they realize how detestable this is, how terrible this is? And actually, that's one of the blessings, one of the prayers that we say in the Amidah 3 times a day. Vashiva shoftayich kevarishona. V'yatzayich kevatechila. We ask for a Kadosh Baruch Hu to bring back, to restore justice, to bring back the good judges of once upon a time. That there should be justice, not falsehood, not bribery, not lies. So, what's going on? Why does this happen? Why do people lie? I mean, what are they really out to gain something? I mean, what are they going to gain so much already? Don't they realize how terrible this is? Lies, lies, lies. Well, the whole world that we live in, the Kabbalah says, the rabbis elaborate on, is alma de shikra. The whole world is a lie. The life that we live in is full of lies. The whole existence, in many ways, is a big lie. Now, what does that mean? It means, unfortunately, that through this life that we go through, the world as we know it, the existence in which we are in, is all chadur, as we say in Hebrew, it's all penetrated with lies. Everything is full of deceit. From what you see in a propaganda, in other words, in a commercial, in an announcement, on top of the big, large signs, right? All kinds of companies trying to sell you things. From that to politicians promising the world, regardless of where you look, the courts. Everywhere you find lies. I'm not saying everybody's a liar. But the rabbis, when they tell us, when they made this statement that this is a alma de shikra, a false world, or a world actually of falsehood, that's better. What they meant is that lies are everywhere. There's something in this world that leads to that. What is that leads to that? We must remember, we must keep in mind that this particular world is not the tachlit. This is not the final stop. We go from here to Olam Ha'emet. The world to come is called Olam Ha'emet because that is the real world. That is the last stop. That is our destination. That's the tachlit, the purpose of everything. So this world, being a temporary place, has many things in this place that could easily distract us, mislead us, make us forget about the real world. So there's a lot of sheker, intentionally, of course, we're going to see that soon, a lot of sheker intentionally in this world that could easily trap anyone into believing certain things, and it could easily mislead someone, and as a result of that, people behave accordingly. In other words, they adapt certain things from what they see. So it's not so much the nature right now of the individual. What I'm talking about is the life as we see it is full of sheker. There is what the Kabbalah calls hester panim. The presence of God is concealed. We don't therefore see the truth with clarity. So as it is, to begin with, we are coming or being born into a world that has all sorts of sheker elements, let's call them, including the Yetzer Hara. What does the Yetzer Hara tell us? Do this, enjoy life. But wait a minute, I was told by my Yetzer Tov that that's dangerous to the neshama, that this is wrong. Come on, you really believe that? The Sipurei Safta, as they would call it in Hebrew. That's fairy tales. The Yetzer Hara says, I pay cash. What you've been taught in school, Hashem pays, that's post-dated check. Olam Ha'emet, years from now. Enjoy. This is good for you. You know, you read an article these days that tells you chocolate is good for you. I said, good, I like chocolate. So it was nice to hear that. But be careful, because it depends who said that. Maybe the chocolate companies said that. How do you know who's behind that statement? See, a lot of people fall for it. Advertisement, which is the word I was looking for before, is a big business. Why is it a big business? Because they know people go for it. In Israel, there is an advertisement, that used to be, about beer. Tishte Maccabi tiye gever. Drink Maccabi, you'll be a man. The man says, oh yes, I want to be a man. I'm going to buy Maccabi. That's the beer I'm going to buy. What does that have to do with reality? But guess what? People actually fall for it. I'm not exaggerating. People fall for all kinds of things. Oh, they know what they're talking about. After all, the guy's wearing a tie. And he must be serious, right? No, they're lying. And why are they lying? Because they want to make a few dollars. They're in the business of lying. They want to make, that's what it is. So this world, the rabbis tell us, they characterize, they describe it to us as olam sheker. There's a lot of sheker going on. There's a saying, not everything that shines is gold. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Not everything. Why? Because there's a lot of things that look like gold, but they're not. It's sheker, misleading. So what is the root of this? The root of all of this is from Samael, from the left camp, as it will be called in the Kabbalah, from the Sitra Achara, from the other side, from the side of Tumah, from the side that is opposed to Kedusha, the side that is opposed to Hashem, the side that is opposed to truth. Everything in this life is in pairs. You have male, female, day, night, right? You have the Jewish nation and the rest of the world. You have right, left. You have sheker and emet, right? You have pairs. You have a lot of pairs and opposites. And just like there is emet in this world, there has to be an opposing force. to counter that. In order to allow for complete free will, we have to allow for sheker to exist. And from this root called sheker, that belongs in the left camp, exists the power of witchcraft and the world of demons. What is witchcraft? Witchcraft gives the impression that there's another power out there that takes a stick and converts it to a serpent. Right? Remember the magicians in Egypt? They said, we can duplicate whatever you're doing, Moshe. How? Not through Hashem's will, but through witchcraft. Through witchcraft, if you know how to do it, you can do all kinds of things, but are you really doing something? No. It's all in the eye. In other words, it's all that we see. Is it a real transformation in the essence of that thing? No. Kishuf does not have the ability to livro yesh me'ayin. Yesh me'ayin means to create something from nothing. Only Hashem can do that. Things that are transformed in this world are transformed from some other material that they were before, transformed into something else. So Kishuf is a lie. Kishuf gives the impression that it has a koach, a power that is in competition with Hashem. It gives the impression that it can do something, it is capable, but it's all a lie. It all belongs to that camp. It's not true, it's not real, it's not a real thing. The same thing with Shadim. The world of demons is composed of various kinds of demons. And we don't have the time to go through all of that. There's various kinds of demons. If you want to get to know some of them, they're walking around on Melrose now. Some of them, yeah. Demons, some demons are completely liars. And when they appear to you in a dream, they can look like a big rabbi and tell you, I'm Eliyahu Navi, in a dream. And he looks just like him. And he tells you all kinds of things, and it's a bunch of lies. Why is he doing it? He's playing with you. Why? That's another reason. There's another time for why they play with you. But when demons play, when demons go after you, they use lies, they use deceit. That is where they come from. And they mislead people. And then they hurt them too. So you have to, well, I don't think many of you will ever come in touch with one. I hope not. But you have to be careful. Even though you may think that they're telling you the truth, a lot of dreams are false because they come from the world of demons. So if it's a dream that involves a demon, it may not contain too much truth in it. Why? Because all of this, the witchcraft, the demons, all of that comes from that side, which is all sheker. In this physical world, who has the greatest concentration of that sheker? The same force that has the greatest concentration of ra, of evil. Who's that? Amalek. There's ra. There's the ability to do evil all over the world, scattered. But there's one nation that took the most of it. Just like the Jewish nation took the most Kedusha by accepting the Torah, there's one nation in the world that took the most evil and the greatest amount of lies, and that's Amalek. Now you will understand why the grandfather of Amalek, who was Esav, was such a liar. Remember Esav? Where did he lie? He misled his father to think that he's such a good guy. He asked him Sheilot, questions in halacha. Daddy, how do you do this? How do you do? Wow, you make me proud, my son. Right? That is why he was going to bless him. He thought this is Esav, okay. Esav is not the biggest learner. He's not so, he wants to hunt, he wants to be in the field. But at least he's honest. He asks questions, he listens to me, and he, kibud avayim, the way he respected his father, nobody could outdo him. So he had some strong points, but he was a big liar. Kitzaid befiv, the Torah says, the Pasuk says, he was a hunter, but the rabbis tell us those same words, kitzaid befiv, not only means that he was a hunter that brought food to the mouth, he was able to hunt you with his mouth, which means to lie, to catch you with his mouth, to make you believe whatever he wanted you to believe. So all that koach, all that sheker is found in Amalek, found in Esav. Who has that koach today? The Nazi. How did the Nazis operate? Through lies. Go into this big room, you're going to take a shower from your fleece to be clean. After all, Arbeit macht frei. If you remember the big sign in Auschwitz, the work will free you. You got to be clean. You just came in cattle wagons. What were those rooms of showers? Gas chambers. Why say a lie? Because they were so cruel and wicked, these people, Amalek, that they said, we don't want to have too many battles. We don't want to work too hard to annihilate them. Let's lead them like sheep to their death by lying to them what we're about to do. Because if they knew the truth, they might stand up against us. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. So let's not make it easy for them. Let's lie. You see this lie? Nazi, Amalek, Esav, that's all. The biggest lies of all, the propaganda. And what book is the biggest propaganda of all? The Protocols of Zion. Right? That the Jews are taking over the world, even though that happens to be somewhat true too. Yeah. But it's not exactly the way they put it. Their whole intention was, of course, to convince the whole world, listen, we have to get rid of them because they're a danger to the world. All fabrications, all lies. So I was going to suggest, this is my own suggestion, that perhaps the reason why Esav lost his blessings, you know how Esav lost his blessings? Yaakov took him, b'mirma. Yaakov came, dressed himself up like Esav, and took the blessings by instruction of his mother, who had Ruach HaKodesh, prophecy. But why did it have to happen this way to Esav, that he will lose his blessings? Through mirma, through trickery. Because he was a trickster. Because he was a liar. You lie, you fall through lies. Somebody else will outdo you. Yaakov outdid him through mirma, and it was coming to Yaakov. Why? Because he sold him the blessings. He sold him the bechorah, right? The first rights. So he is the firstborn. So he's not lying, even though he didn't want to do it, because he's ish tam, ish amiti, ish emet. He's a man of truth. But his mother told him. His mother knew what she was talking about. She was told by nevuah, by prophecy. But Esav falls because that was the same coin. He used trickery to cheat, to lie to his father. So he's going to lose his blessings through trickery of his brother. You think Yaakov came out of this clean? There is an incredible midrash. Remember the story with Lavan? How Lavan tricked Yaakov by giving him first Leah and then Rachel? Even though Min HaShamayim, they wanted Yaakov to have 4 wives. Okay, we all know that. That's in the end. But how did Yaakov feel the first night? I got taken for a ride, as they say in English. I worked so hard for Rachel and now he gives me Leah. That pain is a kapara for his mirma with Esav and Yitzchak. Even though he had permission there to do it. Right? Yaakov had permission from his mother. And it was right to take the blessing. It was coming to him. Nevertheless, Min HaShamayim, they gave him a little bit of a kapara. Feel the frustration momentarily. Because in the morning, after breakfast, Lavan tells him, you know what, I'll give you Rachel too. Don't worry about it. You're going to get her too. Just work a little bit more. So he got what he wanted. But the first moment, the frustration, the pain of being cheated, it's painful. That was a little bit of a kapara. That's what the Midrash says. That he had it, even though he did the right thing, still he needed a kapara. You know what they say in English? Crime doesn't pay. Sof ganav litliya. In the end, the thief gets hanged. And the rabbis tell us in the Midrash, the following Midrash, beautiful Midrash, that tells us what happens to a person who lies through life, who cheats people. When Noach was building the Teva, the ark, the Sheker came and wanted to enter the Teva. Sheker, lies, wanted to enter the ark. Noach says, I'm sorry, you have to bring a couple. Who's your second half? The Teva is only for couples, male, female. You can't come in by yourself, the sheker. Who wants to come with the sheker? Nobody wanted to come with him, so he didn't have a mate. So he looked around, and he finally found a mate. The mate of the sheker was called pahta. In Hebrew today, that's called pahat. Mi'apach el pahat. Pahta means failure, loss. That's what pahta means. And that's how he got into the teva. How did he convince Pahta to come to be his mate? Pahta made a deal with him. Sheker, whatever you make through your sheker, I take. Okay? And ever since that agreement, whatever sheker makes through, whatever money sheker makes through sheker, goes to Pahta. The Pahta comes and takes all that money. So the money that will be made through sheker will go to Pahta, will go to failure. It will be lost. Otherwise, the pasuk says, anybody that makes money in an illegal way, in a crooked way, halfway through his life, the money will be lost. Or as Mishlei likes to put it in different words, that money will develop wings and they will fly away like the birds. Easy comes, easy goes. Yeah. Money therefore made in illegal ways will not have any beracha. Another way, another expression that the rabbis tell us is a liar loses out in other ways too. Onsho shel badai shegam shomer emet lo maminim lo. And this exists in other languages too, in Italian and in other languages, that a liar, even when he speaks the truth, you don't believe him. Nobody will believe him. Even when he's saying the truth, he's not liked. People don't trust him anymore. So even when he will say once in a while the truth, the onish, the punishment of the liar is that even when he says the truth, they won't believe him. Okay, now that we've more or less described this particular problem, the root of it, how it exists, we're going to go much more towards the tipul, how to deal with it. This particular midah is very much already developed from childhood on. Children are very susceptible, very easily lie. And the reason why children are very much into it is because they live in a world of imagination. So their imagination is very ripe. And for all kinds of reasons, they easily lie without thinking too much about it. They don't really think too much about it. They just drift easily, either to protect themselves, not to be embarrassed, or just to add, to embellish stories the way they see things. So because this particular midah develops early on, it is very important to deal with it right away. How do you deal with it? So I saw the Shlah HaKadosh, Shnei Luchot HaBrit, very important sefer, written several hundred years ago by a big rabbi, who says as follows, that he once heard from another man how his father taught him the truth. His dad, whenever he heard a complaint from one of the children, he did so and so to me, he did that, he went over to all of them, called them all together, and he said like this, whoever did it, admit right away. Because if you don't admit it, and I eventually find out who did it, that one who did it is going to be severely punished. But if you do admit it, and you promise not to do it again, then not only won't I not punish you, I'll even reward you. And he rewarded them with coins. He got them always to admit. This is how he handled them. And it worked. And they always remained truthful. They were taught to always say the truth as a result of that. Gaon of Vilna also was very strict about lies. He says when it comes to children, be very strict when it comes to lying. Don't give in. Punish if necessary. With lies, you got it early on. Stamp it out and not tolerate it. And as the Shlah also brings down further, it's a very good segula. It's a very good way of assuring that your children will always be doing the right thing behind your back when you don't see them, if you train them early on to always stick to the truth. This midah of truth and not lying will keep them out of trouble. That's children. What about adults? Adults? Don't they know better? There's different kinds of lies. People from time to time lie. Okay, that's heard of for all sorts of reasons. But what I want to talk about in the next few minutes is about the ones who really have a problem with it. Not the occasional lie, which is easy to work on, a lot easier to deal with. If somebody occasionally lies, B'ezrat Hashem, a person learns Musar, he will learn how to not even lie once. But what about the big liars? There's two major ones. One is called in English the pathological liar, and one is called a compulsive liar. And these two are dealt with extensively in psychology and psychiatry, I think. Big problems, and you will encounter them out there. You will. What's the difference between the pathological and the compulsive liar? So I wrote down here a few notes that I'll share with you, brief descriptions of how they describe them. Pathological liar is an individual who usually wants things his way. Deep down, he wants to accomplish something. He has a goal. He wants to do certain things his way. As a result of that, he manipulates. He manipulates people. And in manipulating people, what happens is he has no regard for them whatsoever. He's trying to get his way. He's therefore, in order to achieve that, he has to be manipulative sometimes. And what does all that show? That he will not really have regard for others, for what others say, for how others feel. And this particular problem is there from childhood usually. And sometimes it could even be a mental health issue that may require medication. So pathological, meaning that it's in some ways there from the very beginning because of a need to get something, that he uses therefore lies to achieve whatever he needs to achieve. So it's being directed from early on, from his early years, because he wants to get his ways. I'm going to tell you a secret, however. It appears to be that there's a consensus amongst the experts that regardless of what kind of lies, whether it's pathological or compulsive, a lot of the experts seem to be saying that one of the underlying psychological problems of this liar is a very, very low self-esteem. And I think I tend to agree with that. That could be underlying, driving this individual to therefore want to do certain things in a certain way. Compulsive is a lie of habit. It's already chronic. It has become second nature. It's become natural to him. He doesn't even know himself he's lying. And this individual is very, very difficult to deal with. And the reason why it's difficult to deal with, and one of the reasons, is not only does he not realize that he's lying, he actually feels very safe and good this way. He's uncomfortable with the truth, this compulsive one. Very uncomfortable. He likes it, he enjoys it, he's comfortable doing things this way, lying his way around. So what do we do with these two people who have a big problem with lying? Compulsive or pathological? One thing is for sure. These two individuals need counseling, desperate counseling. You can't just sit him down in front of a Gemara, Sefer Musar here. It won't work. Almost guaranteed. Now what is counseling going to do? What could you do in counseling? In counseling you can do three things. Number one, the number one tactic or method or approach in counseling with an individual who has a big problem with lying is you have to point out to him how negative, what kind of a negative effect the lies have on him and on others around him. You first have to point out the negative effect that this has. Then, what they suggest, the experts, is to actually train him, give him all kinds of jobs to kick the habit. And we don't have the time to go into all kinds of ideas. There are all kinds of ideas of what kind of jobs to give him to do to get it out of him. All kinds of things that he will face it and have to deal with it. You have to work against it. So experts tell us that this is what you need to do. Counseling, of course, but also give him all kinds of tasks to help him get out of it. This is besides medication, of course. Medication sometimes may be necessary. Another possibility that may be very helpful sometimes when you have no other choice. What do I mean by no other choice? You know, when you have no other choice, a lot of these people who are either compulsive or pathological liars will not go to counseling, unfortunately. Here I'm talking about counseling. Me? There's nothing wrong with me. Right? That's what they will say. Then you have the real smart ones. Okay, of course, anything for you. You want me to go to counseling? Fine. In counseling, they will lie. Of course I did what you told me to. Oh, what now? Yeah, you're right. You said a lie? Okay, yeah. Okay, so we'll take care of it. Well, take care of it, forget it. He will lie himself through counseling. This guy, you know what you should do? You got to prepare a whole report and catch him with all his lies. He needs desperate help. Besides medication, which some people may need, you have to put the lie's face on. Don't ignore it. Point every single lie to him. Write it down. See, this is what you said yesterday. See, point everything to him, one after another. What this will do eventually is he will see, hey, he knows I'm lying. In other words, it will be harder for him. It will not necessarily eliminate this problem, but it will be harder for him. He will be a little bit wary. And this actually may help a little bit, along with other treatment, to overcome this problem. But, as we said before, the greatest difficulty of all, in any midot, working on any midah, is the desire to correct oneself. If a person does not want to, does not admit it, does not acknowledge this problem, no matter what you do and say will not help whatsoever. It's almost a lost case. The only time a person can be helped is if he's willing to help himself. Okay, fine. I guess it is a problem. Help me. Show me. What do I need to do? Remember, with this pathological or compulsive ones, it's going to be very tough. These are very difficult people to cure. So I have some news for you. Anybody who's a pathological or compulsive liar, but I don't know which one would be worse in this case. The compulsive obviously is worse, but regardless of the degree of lying that he does, if he's not willing to be helped, stay away from him. You know why? These individuals have the ability to bring you down with them. You know that? They have the ability to drag you down with them. They're about to lose a lot of money because of their lies. And if you in any way associate yourself with them, trusting them, believing them, guess what that will do to you, to your money? It will come down together with them. But how could he do it to me? Because he did it to himself. So why shouldn't he do it to others if he can do it to himself? And he has no regard for others. Be careful. So if you see you're not getting anywhere with him, stay away from him. Ignore him. Unfortunately, some people are married to these guys. Then what? Yeah, it could be a big problem. You know, because lying, they can lie in all kinds of areas. Lying is not just about money. They can have a girlfriend. They can have somebody else. And me? I only love you. No one else? Sure. Yeah. Let me look at your phone bill. You know, who are all these calls to? Oh, that's business related. There's no end to it. There's no end to it. You know, when it comes to lies, you know, there's incredible imagination. People can make up all sorts of stories. Anyway, The first step is to admit. If you can get an individual to at least to admit, to recognize he has a problem, then we're headed somewhere. How do you identify a liar? Anybody here know how do you identify a liar without a polygraph machine? By the way, polygraphs doesn't always work. It's a tool. There are various ways to identify a liar. Let's say you're hiring somebody, you want to know if he's a liar. There's body movement. There's all kinds of body movement that you can see by looking at his eyes, by watching his fingers and his body. There's ways to detect if a person is lying. It's not always reliable, but it can help. One of the biggest problems a liar has is, in order to be a successful liar, you need to have a great memory. Because you have to remember your lies. So, if you want to succeed, the rabbis tell us, not only a good memory, in order to succeed in your lies and selling your lies, you have to mix some truth. If you don't mix a little bit of truth, people will know right away it's a lie. So, of course, they dress it up very nicely, right? They sell you, right? Whatever they sell you. And, the best example is all these berries that they're trying to sell you, all these drinks, $35 a bottle. You drink this, you're going to lose weight automatically. You're going to be healthy, right? Why are they successful? If it's not really that, if it's not true. The reason they're successful is because there's some truth to it. It is a healthy drink. It has antioxidants. And antioxidants are good for your body. Vitamin C is great for your body. And D for other things. So what they're saying is not a complete lie. Have you ever seen milk cartons lately? In a milk carton or an orange juice, it may have a big circle, a nice beautiful picture. This can stop you from getting a heart attack. Is that a lie? It's not a lie. Maybe it's true a little bit that this, of course, will increase your vitamin C, and your metabolism will be better. But will this directly prevent? Of course not. So they have to be very careful how they word. They can't tell you this for sure, right? All the food items that you see, ingredients, they don't tell you everything. If it's less than 2%, they don't have to write it down. 100% pure, not from concentrate, right? They have to underline the not from concentrate, because otherwise it could be, it's 100% pure, right? It means that there's no other juice there, but it could have water. And they have excuses on how they get away with it. It's only orange juice and not other juices. Yeah, but it has water too, then it's not pure. But why do you say it's pure? Well, pure, that it doesn't have additives like, who knows what. But it has water. Anyway, lies, lies, lies. Okay, so we have some advice from the experts on how to deal with the problem. And it's not an easy problem. What do the rabbis have to say? You should know that when it comes to midat sheker, there are not a lot of training exercises. Like I said earlier, that you can just pick up a book and this will help you avoid sheker. When it comes to sheker, one of the best ways to combat sheker is by training yourself and teaching yourself to adapt the opposite and good, healthy midot. In other words, if you adapt emet in your life, that will neutralize sheker. Sheker is not something that you can easily uproot. There's no real recipe to just go against sheker. The way to deal with sheker, with lies, is by adapting healthy midot, healthy characteristics that will eventually eliminate, get the sheker out of the way. We'll be talking about humbleness soon. Humbleness, emet, zrizut, diligence, all kinds of beautiful midot that if a person adapts them into his life, they on their own will eliminate the sheker. So you cannot battle sheker up front. You have to deal with sheker through the back door by adapting other good midot. So one way of dealing with sheker is identify what's true. And this is very important when dealing with missionaries. You want to know the truth. You want to be as knowledgeable and as familiar with the Torah as possible. Because then, when you see something which is untrue, you'll say, oh, this is sheker. For example, in certain Christian Bibles, it says they want to claim there was a virgin birth. You know what I mean by that, right? A virgin birth. And they point to you to the pasuk that says virgin in the English. And you go to the original Hebrew, Baruch Hashem, you know some Hebrew, you learn some Torah. It doesn't say here virgin. What's the Hebrew word for virgin? Betulah. And if you go to the original text, it doesn't say Betulah there, to the verse they're pointing. It says Alma. Alma in English means a young maiden, a young woman, not a virgin. They mistranslated intentionally to convince you that it's a virgin birth. How are they going to do it? They're only going to do it with those who are ignorant, those who do not know the truth. The greatest, therefore, weapon that a Jew has to combat, to counter falsehood out there is by knowing the truth, by being familiar with the truth. If you know the truth, you will be able to smell, to detect that this is sheker, that this is false. Another piece of advice the rabbis tell us, whenever you are in doubt, be careful not to give an opinions just like that. You're better off saying, I don't know. Whenever you're in doubt about something, say, I don't know. In this, because if you always try to give your opinion with this confidence, it's no good because it may not be truthful. So if you have any doubts about what you say, you're better off training yourself to say the words, I don't know. Limad et leshoncha lomar ini yodea. Rabbis tell us, even if you are in a very uncomfortable situation, you'd rather be called a shoteh, a fool for all your life, and don't be wicked even for one moment. In other words, don't even lie at any moment, at any time. Even if it means, if it will cost you, that people will call you a fool. These are just some ideas that the rabbis tell us on how strong to be, how not to give in, even if it means it will cost you your name, your reputation. But don't be a rasha. You're better off being a shoteh, being called by some a fool for doing what you're doing, and not being called a rasha. What would be a good example of that? You know, when people tell those who are honest in paying their taxes, you're a tamim, you're naive, or in English they like to call him, you're a sucker. Tafrayer in Hebrew, tafrayer, you know, you pay your bills, you're honest. Let them call you that, but don't be a rasha. That's better to be called those names, than being considered an evil person, even one moment before Hashem. Okay, we spoke about the negativity of lies, but there are some situations where it's a mitzvah to lie. Very few. One is to bring about peace between husband and wife. Husband should tell his wife she's the most beautiful woman in the world. That all other women in the world are monkeys compared to her.
You don't have to call them monkeys.
Yeah, but that's what the Zohar says. That even though you're exaggerating, it's for shalom bayit. It's to bring about peace. You look great. This is becoming to you, even though you don't think that much of it. A compliment doesn't cost so much. It's free. And if that compliment, even though it would not come naturally to you, you're forcing yourself to say because you want her to feel good, it's acceptable. It's actually a good thing. Even though it's sheker. You don't really mean to say, you don't really think that it's so special. Imagine somebody else who says the opposite. How much did you pay for it? She says, $59, it was on sale. $59? They gypped you. You overpaid. It's not even worth $10. You made her feel like $10 just now. What kind of a comment is that? You don't have to say that, even though it's the truth. But the truth is sometimes painful. Who asked you to say that? There are times that you should say something which is nice, even though it's not exactly the truth, because it produces shalom. There's a very interesting machloket between Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai. Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai said, what do we do with the following situation? Remember, we're talking about being truthful. But we have a dilemma. A guy goes to a wedding. guy goes to a wedding and he sees his friend with his kala. He says, I can't believe it. How did he marry her? What did he see in her? What should I tell him? Should I tell him, you know what? I really don't know, why you chose this girl. She's short, she's balding, she's a little on the heavy side, But I wish you good luck. That's what Bet Shammai says. Bet Shammai says, Kala kemo shehi. Tell things the way they are. Bet Hillel says, no. Say Kala na'ava hasuda. Tell your friend, your hatan, wow, you have great taste. She's beautiful. She's good looking. She's fine. Even though it's not the truth. Why? Because even though in your eyes it's not so, in his eyes it is. For him it is true. That's why he's marrying her. So that's not a real lie. You want them to live in harmony. You want them to be peace. You want to say the right thing. The right thing is the positive thing to say is to make him feel good. After all, you're not going to a wedding just to eat, right? Some people do that. They just go to eat for the food. You're going to make him happy. You're going to dance with him to feel good for him. That's the mitzvah. So don't tell him exactly what you think, about the girl. In his eyes, she's a beautiful woman. To make him feel good that he did the right thing. It was a good choice. That is the halakha. The halakha is that even though this is not exact truth, but in that situation, it is true in the eyes of the khatan, and that's what you should comment on.
So why should he say the other ones are like monkeys? That's not nice either.
No, but he's not pointing to any woman in specific.
I know, but
Yeah.
just to say that.
He's just saying that others are inferior. Others are not as good as you. Yeah, and that's the Medrash says that even about Sarah. I think I really very recall. That, she made all other women, not appear to be as nice as she was. There are other times where you're allowed to lie, and that is if a teacher wants to train his students to be sharp, he can do all kinds of things to convince them, to encourage them. For example, let's say they're learning a new Gemara, which is really very difficult. He can say, oh, this one is an easy one. Even though it's a very difficult, tough one. Lehidude. The Gemara says, lehidude, to sharpen them, to encourage them, it's okay. Or if somebody asks you, something, do you know anything about this? And you don't really want to brag about how much you know about a subject. You say, I don't really know that much about it. That's mipnei anava, because of your humbleness. It's okay for you to minimize the situation a little bit. I don't really know too much about that topic. That's also mutar, anava. And the third area is also tzniut. If you want to be modest, you don't want to tell people what your wife is doing right now, right? Maybe she's right now occupied with something not so. Anything that has to do with tzniut, with modesty, you may not want to be accurate. It's not proper to say exactly what you're doing. So that's okay. One thing the rabbis tell us to be very careful with is if you had a very good stay by somebody in his home, your host was very generous and welcoming, don't go publicize his generosity all over the world. Because then everybody's going to be running to his home to want to be his guest, including people who don't deserve to be his guest. So even though you want to be truthful and you want to be thankful and you want to say the truth, this truth will hurt this man. He always welcomes guests. Oh, really? I can always stay by him? Yeah, you can always stay by him. And there's all kinds of people out there that are not good guests. You don't just want anybody coming to him. So you have to be careful not to disclose that information to just anybody. Some of you may have a question about Abraham and Yitzchak. Abraham and Yitzchak, they lied their way through Egypt, or Avimelech, by telling them, this is my sister, not my wife. Remember the story with Sarah, with Rivka? It wasn't a real lie over there, because she was a relative. Since it wasn't a real lie, it is not completely forbidden. And especially when in times of danger, sometimes you could do that to escape for your life. The only halakha that says you cannot escape for your life is what? If they ask you, are you Jewish? You cannot deny it and say no. That's the halakha in the Shulchan Aruch. If somebody asks you, are you Jewish? You come today to Iran and they ask you, are you Jewish? The only thing you can say is, me? I'm Isfahani. Do I look Jewish to you? You didn't lie, right? You didn't lie. As long as you say no, you don't say no. If you say no, that's a lie. And you cannot deny your Judaism, your Jewishness. But you say, me? Do I look to you like a Jew? Right? You know, I tell some Mexicans I'm more Mexican than them sometimes. You know, they can't believe it, you know. Grew up there just as much as them, you know. Speak the language, eat similar foods and customs, but you know, so on. But anyway, but you cannot deny, if he asks you straight out, you can get away with it. Itchamkut. Me? Do I look to you Jewish? Right? You know, imagine if somebody telling them, a Jew telling a Christian, you mean? I'm more Catholic than the Pope. I have a bigger yarmulke than him. Yeah? He only has a red one. I have a black one and a blue one. Right? That's okay. Yeah. Anyway, be careful. Be careful with lying outright, especially now about your Judaism. Yosef's brothers is another example. Remember Yaakov passed away, they took him to be buried. What happens on the way back to Egypt? The brothers come to Yosef. They're afraid for their lives. Now he's going to take revenge on us for what we did to him. Your father left instructions right before he passed away that you should forgive us. He never did. We don't find anywhere that he left such instructions. They made it up. Rabbis tell us it's okay. Leshanot mipnei shalom mutar. Leshanot, to change, to alter the story. Here it is mutar because of shalom. Another example that was permissible in order to achieve shalom. Just like to end with what the Navi says will be in the days of Mashiach, that the politicians, as always, will trust and put their faith in lies. As the Navi Yeshayahu says, Samnu kazav mahsenu ubasheker nistarnu. All the peace treaties that are going on today is all a bunch of lies. It's all based on lies. It is together with liars. It's all about lies. No truth whatsoever. Politics is not true. It's lies usually. So this whole process, from the very beginning till now, nothing has come out of it because it's all based on lies. The foundation is lie. We know the truth. The truth is that Hashem is the one that's coordinating everything here. Everything is happening in Shemayim. Nothing will change unless our actions, our deeds change, and our relationship with Hashem changes. So therefore, the whole system is corrupt. The whole system is full of lies. And that's why it will not succeed. And that is why the prophet makes a promise that your belief that you will be able to produce a peace treaty, a lasting peace treaty, will never come through. On the contrary, you will see that all those who you trusted will come out against you and kill you and destroy you and not give you any peace whatsoever. They actually believe that they can make peace with a sworn enemy. It's all because it's all based on lies. It cannot work. It's never going to work. But the good news of all of this is, of course, that at the very end, very, very soon, any day now, any moment now, B'ezrat Hashem, the truth will reveal itself. The truth will come out wide open, crystal clear. Up until now, there's been tremendous hester panim, tremendous darkness in Hashem that's been concealed. But Mashiach represents the revelation of Hashem. It represents the revelation of the truth in this world. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will see it very soon. Amen.